Some of you might not remember this, but back in the day, Fortnite was just a moderately successful base defense game where you shot zombies to save the world. Nowadays, people are running around a free-to-play battle royale as a Ninja Turtle riding the Warthog from Halo with a dragon radar attached to his back. It's honestly bonkers how much Fortnite has evolved over the years, and the melting pot of brand confusion, and oddly enough, brand synergy it's become. It's gotten to the point where it even has its own versions of Minecraft, Rocket League, and Guitar Hero, which have varying degrees of quality. But one thing Fortnite is really good at is making money. But the question to ask yourself is, how can a game that's free to play make billions and billions of dollars in sales? Well, there are a lot of in-game sales tactics that Fortnite uses to entice you into purchasing things like skins, emotes, and backpacks. Now let me be clear, I am not a fan of how Epic Games structures these purchases. However, that doesn't mean I'm not impressed with how well they do it, because I think they are fantastic examples of how to apply sales tactics effectively, hence their billions and billions of dollars. So today, I want to cover some of the sales tactics I think they leverage most effectively: microtransactions, V-Bucks, and crossover events. The reason I'm choosing to cover the sales tactics used in Fortnite with you all today is to help you recognize the intentional tactics businesses use to try and separate you from your money. That way, you can be a more informed consumer when making purchases, both in Fortnite and in your own life. This is What I Learned Playing Fortnite. The primary goal of releasing a game as free to play is to get it in the hands of as many gamers as possible by removing the barrier of cost. I can guarantee that if I had to pay for Fortnite, I would not have bought it. I am terrible at PvP shooters, but since I can download it for free and play with my friends, there really isn't a reason not to, because it's easy to take a chance on a game when it isn't going to cost you a dime. But releasing a game like Fortnite as free to play isn't as altruistic as you may think. Sure, it's nice when gamers get access to quality games for free, but being free is, ironically, a specific sales tactic designed to get gamers through the metaphorical front door. And once they're in, hit them with a ton of ways to spend their money. I will concede that you can play Fortnite without spending a cent and still have fun, which I do appreciate compared to other free-to-play games. But Fortnite still grounds itself firmly in everyone's least favorite free-to-play money grab, microtransactions. The basic principle of microtransactions is to sell smaller, more manageably priced items to make it easier to purchase something. However, in the case of Fortnite, those microtransactions have evolved more into macrotransactions. $15 for a skin? Get out of here. But since you didn't pay money for the game, it changes your mindset to make it easier to justify spending money on a cool skin. It's kind of like when Six Flags has a free admission day, and once you're in the park, a hot dog costs $13. It's annoying, but it's easier to justify because you got into the park for free. That's the goal of the free-to-play model. It gets people into the ecosystem so they can spend money on the microtransactions within it. When it comes to Fortnite, it's easy to justify purchasing microtransactions for another skin, dance, or backpack until you spent more than the cost of a brand new game. And part of the way they get you to do that is through the use of V-Bucks. If you were to log into Fortnite right now and look at the item shop, there are very few places that you will actually see a dollar amount listed for a purchase. Instead, you'll be met with a sea of items being sold for Fortnite's virtual currency, V-Bucks. So in order to purchase something from the item shop, you need to use your real-world money to purchase their V-Bucks. You may be asking yourself, why don't they just let me spend my region-specific currency? And to that I say, because that'd be too easy, and there's a lot more money to be made with V-Bucks. While V-Bucks technically have real-world value, it's a made-up currency your brain doesn't assign real value to beyond what it can buy in Fortnite. That's because virtual currency is designed to make it less obvious how much real money you're spending. Seeing something listed for 2,800 V-Bucks doesn't register the same as if it was priced at its actual $23 value. You may second guess spending $23 for a Fortnite skin, but pricing the skin at 2,800 V-Bucks helps your brain distance that purchase from the actual financial transaction that it is. That's also why you see a lot of games having some sort of coin, gem, or bar you need in order to purchase in-game items. It's an intentional sales tactic designed to make it easier for you to spend money. The other thing they do with V-Bucks is they usually don't sell them in the exact denominations needed to purchase an item. Let's say, for example, that Fortnite decided to partner with me to release a one generic Eric skin for 1,500 V-Bucks. Which seems less and less likely as this video continues. But if you wanted to buy the skin, you cannot add exactly 1,500 V-Bucks to your account. You would either have to A. Purchase 2 sets of 1,000 V-Bucks, or B. Purchase one set of 2,800 V-Bucks. Those are your only real options to get 1,500 V-Bucks. No matter which option you choose though, you're gonna have leftover V-Bucks, and that's by design. The goal here is to keep you locked into a cycle of spending, because if you have leftover V-Bucks, the next time you see something you want to buy from the item shop, you're more likely to do it, because you already have some V-Bucks you can apply towards your next purchase. However, to actually make that purchase, you still need to buy more V-Bucks, which will leave you with leftovers, which will encourage you to buy another cool item when it comes around, and so on and so on. It's a vicious cycle designed to keep you spending money until Fortnite gobbles up all of their gaming franchises and collapses under its own weight. Which may be closer than you think, thanks to all of their crossover events. Fortnite's crossover events are a gift and a curse, because on one hand, they bring some of your favorite IPs, like Star Wars and Marvel, into the Fortnite universe so you can play as your favorite characters, which is awesome. On the other hand, the goal of Fortnite's crossover events is to leverage your existing love for those IPs and use it to entice you into spending money in the item shop. For example, I'm a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, so when they had the TMNT crossover event where I could get all 4 Turtles skins, weapons, and backpacks, I bought it. Even though I only occasionally play Fortnite, the allure of being able to run around as some of my favorite heroes was enough to separate me from about 30 real-world dollars. Was it an irresponsible use of money? Probably. Was it worth it? Maybe. Do I regret it? Not really. And that's the power of the crossover event sales tactic. By adding the Ninja Turtles to Fortnite, they got me, a very inactive Fortnite player, to spend a decent chunk of money that I would not have spent without the inclusion of the Ninja Turtles. And if they can get a relatively inactive player like me to make a purchase, just imagine what they can do with someone who sees the crossover events consistently. The other thing about crossover events is they're only around for a limited time, which means Fortnite can play heavily on the FOMO, or fear of missing out, aspect. If a crossover skin is only available for a few weeks, it puts some urgency behind the people who may be on the fence to buy it. Because what if the Darth Vader skin never comes back? So Fortnite effectively leverages that fear to get people to spend their money. Isn't it crazy how deep these sales tactics go? As we wrap up here, I want to reiterate, there's nothing wrong with spending money in Fortnite. I barely play Fortnite, but when I do, I'm glad I can run around as Leonardo and Master Chief. It's just fun. What I wanted to accomplish today is show you some of the intentional sales tactics that Fortnite and many other businesses use to get you to spend your money. Because being able to recognize what they are and why they're used can help you spend your money smarter. So that next time you're in the Fortnite item shop, you can get the most bang for your V-Bucks. And that's it! Leave your favorite Fortnite skin, pickaxe, and backpack combination down in the comments. I've seen some crazy combos, so I'm excited to see what you come up with. If you like what you saw today, I'd love for you to subscribe and come back for the next one. Until then, see you around.